Welcome to The Rare Agent, where we pull back the curtain on all things real estate. We're your hosts, Christina, Murray, and Mary Jo. Thanks for being here. Hi. So, guys, just the three of us today.
Just the three of us. Just the three of us. We can
It's a
make
real
it
thriesome.
if we try.
Just the three of us.
You took it there.
Yeah, I had to take it there. I had to take it there. I'm like, what else would that song be about?
Randy
just threw
would
everybody
please
off. Thought about
stop
that.
singing.
I know. That's what I'd be told for sure.
Stop singing.
Yes, always.
So, guys, we're living realtor lives this week, and I thought we could kind of
Are we
talk
ever?
about that and
Mhm.
kind of just give our audience an idea of how the market's doing and the back end of our lives and closings and
Like what
managing.
we're seeing.
And managing clients.
Mhm.
So I know we've all had a bit of an interesting week, so I thought we could share our own stories.
Why don't we start with you this morning?
Mm-hmm.
Me?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
with our
It's gonna be a
commercial deal.
therapy session too.
Yes.
A little bit. It would
Yeah.
be nice.
Yeah, I feel like you have some stuff you need to share.
You know what it is? It's just it's a culmination of everything. You know, when
Mhm.
you have a very busy week and then things don't really go as clockwork, which I don't think
Mhm.
people realize behind the scenes what we deal with.
That it's a dance.
That it's a dance. Yes. And sometimes you get the steps don't really coincide.
Step on each other's toes.
Yeah.
You got two left feet.
Two
It
left feet
hurts.
happens and somebody's got to choreograph this stuff.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm going to keep going with this
Boom.
analogy.
I like this. I like this.
So yeah, like we are essentially the choreographers of each deal.
Yes.
And
So someone was doing hip hop, and you needed them to do Latin.
I needed
dancing.
them to do some salsa.
My
Yeah.
God.
And the salsa did not happen the way I
They
wanted
just
it
did not
to.
even know how to dance at all. They had no rhythm.
They
No.
didn't bring their shoes.
No, you want to just walk out and say, no, I never want to see you again.
Okay, so on a serious note, what happened?
Yeah, honestly, like we've had a couple of closings this week, and sometimes they're amazing and they're smooth, and you know, because you got to deal with the lawyers and you got to deal with, like, let's say there's a deficiency list, which many times there are, and with this commercial deal in particular that I'm working on, there was a significant deficiency list.
Yes,
And-
that's what complicates it.
It does.
Generally, our closings are fairly smooth because we have a good team behind us. We have lawyers. We're prepared for everything.
But you need to make sure that
But-
everybody's aware of what's going on.
There's sometimes complications,
Yeah.
right? So a deficiency list would be a big complication.
It is, but and when it comes to a deficiency list, it's sort of like you have to make sure from at least 2 weeks before closing that these things have started to be worked on, because
Right.
a lot of times you won't get funding if that stuff's not taken care of.
Exactly.
Also, this property also had tenants.
Well, that you throw in a uncooperative tenant into
Yeah.
the situation, and now you've got a disaster.
Well, so here, just to paint the picture,
yeah.
we needed vacant possession, and we needed a number of things to be completed on this property before we could take possession. And not only will we not close if the tenants aren't out, which we were having problems with,
Are they not out? I thought they were out.
they're out
Okay.
as of this past weekend,
Yes,
but they left
right.
a disaster behind.
Okay.
And because we weren't able to check anything because they wouldn't let us in the property,
Right.
it just kept extending everything.
Right.
And when you're going through multiple extensions, you have to make sure that everybody's on the same page with these extensions. And,
Right.
and sometimes that could include 5 different parties, which in this
Yes.
case it did.
It does. Yeah.
So, yeah, I ended up having to.
Can you list for us who are the 5 parties or the number of parties
Yep.
in this?
So we had a number of corporations involved in the purchase, and then we had a number of corporations involved. So there was investor partners. So we had multiple corporations in the selling side and multiple corporations on the buying side, and then we also had the lawyers, and then we had both realtor agents
And the tenants.
and the tenants. Yeah, but I have no access to the
Yes,
tenants, right? So that all
exactly.
has to go through the
The
seller
listing agent.
and the selling agent, exactly. And you have to be able to efficiently speak to all of these people, and sometimes you can't reach them, or they're not responding, or they're not answering to emails, or there's lots of paperwork involved as well. So we had, I don't even know how many amendments to this particular deal.
Yeah.
At least 10.
Yeah.
At least 10 amendments regarding financing, regarding deficiencies, regarding the tenants, regarding vacant possession, like just.
I think this was a record for us.
This was a big one.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mind doing commercial deals, but sometimes I actually prefer it over residential, except when it
And
comes.
so I just give her all the commercial.
I don't mind it.
don't
But
like it.
sometimes behind the scenes when, you're trying to make everything work together and it doesn't, and you have to have cooperative people too. So if you don't have cooperative people on the other side, it makes it a little bit more challenging.
Yeah.
So, today is closing, and we finally got possession.
Today is bumped closing.
Today's the
was last
second
week.
closing.
Yeah.
Yeah, today's the second closing, and we still have the lawyer happens to be away at a conference. Yeah, it's really a timing issue, and we've got financing on hold because we don't have all the receipts for the deficiencies, and I have to go through multiple parties again because I have to speak to both lawyers, I have to speak to the listing agent, and the sellers are not happy, and they're not making things easier because when I'm asking,
Why are they not happy? Like, what
because they're trying to act like it's something we're doing to prevent closing, and it's not. The fact is that we need them to provide us with a deficiency list that's been completed. I need proof of completion, and I need proof that it's been paid for. Otherwise, if it's not been paid for, then I have to worry about a lien on the property, right? So,
But if we have a $70,000 holdback, then
they won't always agree to it.
so they haven't agreed to it.
Even though we have a holdback, you can't just unilaterally decide to use it. There still has to be an agreement. There has to be proof that there's a reason to keep the holdback.
Let's break it down for people that don't know what a holdback is.
A holdback is when your lawyer holds back funds to take care of any deficiencies on the property that work needs to be completed by the seller. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So I went to the property today. I went to look through the property with contractors. Went through the list of deficiencies and I asked for proof. So even though I can see it, like for instance, the roof needed to be completed, I can't go up there and look at the roof.
Right.
Right. So
You
I
just
don't
need
know.
proof that it was done.
But even if somebody sends me an invoice, it's still not enough.
You need photos.
Right. I need to know that, okay, is there a warranty on this? Who did it? Was it paid for? And when you send me a
Because they
check,
could have done it and just not paid.
and who did they get to do it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Was it a reputable company? Was it done in a professional workmanlike manner? Like, okay, you can get any Blow Joe to come in and do it. And then all of a sudden there's a leak the next month. And it's like, well, who did the roof? Like it's
Yeah.
little things that people don't realize,
Yeah.
but you're double checking all these details. So they sent me proof of payment through checks that they wrote yesterday.
Okay.
Right? So I'm like, what do you want me to do with this? It's Easter weekend. I know these checks haven't cleared.
Yeah.
So now I'm worried about a lien on the property. So, and I have to relay all this
But
information.
have they not agreed to a holdover? A holdback, sorry?
They did, but there's now the argument becomes that they provided the proof, right? And I'm arguing the fact that the proof
It's not
is
sufficient.
it's not sufficient.
Yeah, exactly.
So now you've got two sides arguing, right?
Yeah, but
It's like who's gonna? Well, now it comes down to the lawyers.
The
It's like, okay,
lawyers.
who's gonna? And when your lawyer's away,
I know.
and the other, people aren't responding in a timely manner, and the workday ends at 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then and you've got your financing waiting on hold, so everybody's just kind of like,
It's frustrating. It's super frustrating.
it's not just us. It's frustrating for your clients.
clients.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, when the clients are frustrated, then we're frustrated. That's what
Exactly. And you're just
happens.
trying to make it go smooth for them, especially when it's a first time purchase for them and they've never actually purchased something like this before. They're trusting you.
Yes.
So
But if it's out of our hands, there's not much. You're doing everything you possibly can.
It
and
doesn't
they know
change it
that.
though. Like
Yeah.
it's still a very, it can be a challenging experience.
Being in this experience now, what have you learned from it? What could, as much as you're doing as much as you can, but what do you think you would do differently next time?
To be honest, I feel like I did everything.
Yeah, I don't think she could have.
Yeah,
done
like
anything
I've been
differently.
on this for the last 2 weeks because I had a feeling from the time that I went in, the last time that the tenants wouldn't be out. So I started alerting the lawyers, saying, "Listen, I don't think that this is going to go as smoothly as we're hoping."
But what happened? Because we were in there looking upstairs, like a week or two ago.
The tenants didn't want to move. They didn't.
But I mean, they were letting us in before.
Yeah, and then they just decided not to.
Well, sometimes tenants clue in finally.
Like this is really happening.
Yeah, this is really happening.
Yeah.
I really like. It's not as easy as I thought to find an
find,
apartment
yes.
that's not.
Or they didn't book their movers.
Yeah,
Which is what happened here. So I guess they thought they can book movers last minute on an Easter
jeez.
weekend.
Oh no,
Yeah, which is what happened.
So would they just move their stuff, move what they could, and just left the rest?
Pretty much. And then you have to
Wow.
organize cleaners to come in to get rid of all the garbage that's left behind. And for us to be inspecting on closing day is not typical. You don't want to be doing that
No.
because then
course
it
not.
will delay closing
That's
more than
super
likely. And nobody
frustrating.
wants that because everything is prepared in advance. And so it's just,
So do you think it's going to delay closing again?
it's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. I'm waiting.
Well, luckily, everybody wants the deal to go through. Like, we've already come this far.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's just a matter of like another couple of days, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
not.
It's
Could
gonna
the
happen.
seller turn around and go to you? We don't want to we don't want to sell it to you anymore.
No,
They
can't do that.
no, they can't. There's a contract in place. There is one thing I probably would do differently. The contract that we put together was very lengthy. And I think that
So do you think that our agreement was just too detailed? That it gave them
No.
too many outs or like
no,
too
no,
many?
no, no,
Okay.
no. I actually think it was the details.
You
were
needed that.
I needed
Okay.
it, but I mean, you really have to make sure you're 100% familiar with all the details in the offer, and it's a lot. And
Right.
the work that was to be completed that we were going back and forth on, I think that I probably should have pushed it more with the listing agent. I went through the lawyers, but I think the listing agent, had he been more involved, it would have been helpful.
Was he trying not to be involved?
He couldn't. He said he couldn't reach the sellers.
Yeah, because I remember you talking
That's
to me
after
about
the
it.
after the contract was accepted.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, I
Long
see what you
after,
mean.
like he was involved. I shouldn't say that he wasn't. He was absolutely involved, but
But you had a harder time getting straight answers.
We couldn't
from
get
him.
any answers because
Yeah.
there were, like nothing was coming back from the seller. So that's. I don't even know that there's anything I could have done there. It's just a lack of control, which is a bit frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you had a difficult closing as well last week.
God. Yeah, it was. I had closed. So one thing that is in the news is, guys, if there is inventory that builders are trying to get rid of, you
There's
should
a
really.
reason.
Yeah, there's a reason. Not a reason. No, not that's where I was going. I was going where. Well, one, they need to get rid of it, but two
Yeah.
is that they're willing to sell it to you at a discounted price if you just want to do the work. And that's something that my client and I, this deal took about 3 weeks to kind of, from seeing it to seeing other properties to saying like, you know what, this is actually worth it. And then we got a really great offer accepted, but we had a deficiencies list as well because we were working directly with the builder. And we thought like things were getting done, so we didn't go. We went the day before closing, and one of the deficiencies was the flooring felt like it had air pockets underneath. So we were like, you need to fix this.
Yeah.
We go the day before closing, and all the flooring is up. Baseboards are up. Everything is up. Like it doesn't look like it looks like it's in a construction zone. Like
Yeah.
if my client had a truck coming the next day to move in, it wouldn't have been happening.
Yeah.
Like there was, luckily it's an investment, but the next day, so I'm on the phone with the lawyer. He regrets the day he gave me his cell phone number, and just telling him at that time like this was going on, like because luckily in our agreement, well, I thought we were lucky that we could say if this is not done to what our standard, like we can extend closing to make sure it's done properly, and at that point.
Yep, not done properly.
Not done properly.
No, there's no flooring. So the next day I called the lawyer. Like the lawyer was like, okay, well, I'm like, I'm going to go down there. I'm heading downtown anyway. I got there at 11:30. There was one guy in there and installing the flooring. I'm like, are you going to be done today? He goes, that's the plan. I'm like, this is not going to be done today. This is 2 floors. Like this is not going to happen. And then I called the listing agent, called my lawyer, said we need to extend closing. Like I started to sound the alarm.
Yeah.
So our lawyer, had started from the day before, but everybody was like, wait and see. And then I went back at 3:00. The flooring was half done. Then I went back at 4:45, and the lawyer's like, you need to let me know because I need to transfer the funds. And when I got there at 4:45, I was like, it's gonna be done. Like they finished it,
Okay.
but I'd
You're
never,
sweating.
I would never experience.
So you're
something
just
like that.
hovering?
Yeah, I was
Hovering
hovering
around the
Yeah, my
the
my schedule was cleared, and I just hovered, and I kept going back, and they were like, "Hey, how are
Yeah.
you? How's it
For-
going?"
for those
Why wouldn't you
people-
extend for one day?
I couldn't. It was Good Friday.
Oh,
Because then it would have been like till
Holiday.
Tuesday.
Yeah,
probably.
it would have been till Tuesday, and like no one wanted to pay for that.
Yeah.
No one wanted to pay for the
that's the
extension.
other thing that people don't realize is the cost of an extension.
Yeah, and that's
and
what I
who's
said to my
paying for
client.
it.
So for those people who say that realtors don't work for their money, don't look under this table.
Honestly, it's
Yeah.
when you don't have if everything goes to plan, then everybody's like, oh, why did I spend that much, or why do they make but then when shit hits the fan, you are literally just trying to problem solve, resolving the problem, being creative,
Just
you know,
trying to
yeah.
juggle
And
everything.
also, my
It's
client
always
had
juggling.
my client was at work, and she's like,
Yeah.
okay, like everything's good? I'm like, yeah, everything's good. She's like, great. I'm going to go get a drink.
Meanwhile, you're sweating, running.
I like changed twice because I was so stressed. Like I was like, I went in a work outfit and then I went home and changed into a tracksuit. I was like, I need to get this like figured out. Like I cannot have this lady because this woman is really important to me. I've done 4 deals with her.
Yes.
So like this is the last person I want to be like
Disappoint. Or
disappoint.
stress,
Yeah. And we got it done, but it was something that what I could have done differently in this scenario was go back earlier, which normally I do,
Like
but
the day before.
yeah, then normally I don't go back the day before. It's just the way the week was going.
Yeah.
And she was busy with her children and like we couldn't get there earlier. So I had gone the week before and on my own and it was fine. And I was like, the floor's not done, but we still have like a week, so it will get done.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect it to be
Yeah.
the day before. And also just I learned a lot with this transaction on the builder agreement and the AREA agreement and what supersedes the other.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I had this AREA agreement. Like, what the fuck was the point of? Sorry, excuse my language. What was the point of creating this agreement and really trying to
So
protect
which one supersedes?
the builder
The
agreement?
builder.
Because they're like, it's the reason I couldn't extend as well was they said it has an occupancy permit, so it's livable. But
Yeah.
I'm like, it doesn't have a floor. Like
Mhm.
it
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't have a floor.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I think people
just-
don't realize
no.
what they're doing or what they're taking over when they're dealing with occupancy. Because I've personally moved into a unit that was under occupancy, and I had no idea until I went through it myself
Yeah.
that you're living in a construction zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And-
it's just worse now.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're going to come back in and they're going to be fixing things while you're living there. And
Yep.
I didn't have a counter in my kitchen.
Mhm.
Like, and they had done all kinds of things wrong. Like they had ordered the
Yeah.
wrong size counter, and they like,
Mhm.
you know, and you go through your deficiency list, and that's fine.
Mhm.
But you're still moving in,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the train doesn't
and
stop.
you're still paying the occupancy fee, which is high.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, it's like it's
Mhm.
more than what your mortgage will be.
Yeah. Oh,
So yeah, you got to be prepared for that.
for sure.
Just highlighting like all the different twists and turns that we have to deal with sometimes that you don't learn this stuff in school, right? And that's why it's so
No.
important to be connected to other realtors because you may not have come across this, but somebody else has or something similar maybe. And it's just really important for us to support each other because you're dealing with a lot of stuff and the stakes are really high.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a joke.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
D-
even
Did I tell you guys about? Well, you know this. It's our client, but we had a client. Actually, she was an employee of one of my clients, and he referred her to us because she kind of got really screwed. So she had sold her property, and it was like a really hot market, and got to closing, and the buyers just walked away,
oh yeah.
and their deposit was a personal check that the office that they handed it into, that was supposed to be holding it in trust, did not deposit into any trust account
That's
or
like your
even
worst
clear
case
it.
scenario kind of thing. Like
So
the
she
fact that
had
even happened.
nothing.
Yeah.
She had nothing. She had no deposit money. She'd gone through 3 months waiting for closing. The market had completely died. And now she's stuck because she had already bought another house that she had to close on. Somehow she managed to put it together that she could close, which she was very fortunate. Otherwise, she would have lost her deposit for that new property and probably could have been sued.
For sure.
So, like, look how many things, like
chain
people
reaction.
the chain reaction, but also people just dropping the ball and nobody taking any responsibility. So she came to us. We had to we staged it, we marketed it, we did sell it, but for a lot less than what she originally sold it for. So now she has to go after not only the brokerage, but also the sellers, the buyers, so that, she can recoup some of the money that she ended up losing because
But
that's
that-
wasted time.
Like I've never even heard of that before, where the brokerage actually didn't
That is
take the
insane.
deposit and
Yeah.
put it in a trust account.
Like
And
it's a
who's her
personal
lawyer?
check.
Who's her lawyer? That's the other thing. Like the lawyer.
Oh
like-
yeah. Back
know,
then, you mean? Well, the
yeah.
lawyer wouldn't have known.
but normally, don't you? We always I know I always send like all the documents to the
That's
lawyer.
true.
You know,
Yes.
like
Like in
the
terms of
deposit check,
closing-
the
yeah.
the.
No, but I think she knew. Like the lawyers did alert her. Like this isn't good. Like we're not getting anything back from them. Like there was.
Okay.
Yeah,
It
but
wasn't like
there's
right at the glam.
but there was nothing else they could do at that point, right?
Yeah.
It's really the brokerage and the realtor. Like even as a realtor, I wouldn't never take a personal check. But
No.
even if we had taken a personal check, I would have cleared it myself.
Mhm.
I would have taken it to the bank, made sure that it was certified,
Yeah.
and then deposited. Or like as a brokerage,
There's steps that could have been taken
The-
here to make sure that didn't happen.
it was
Yeah.
the
Or
realtor
get the-
and the brokerage really dropped the ball
Yeah.
on this client. It's terrible. It's actually really bad.
She does still have recourse. I mean, because no matter what, she had a contract. It's
This
just
is-
unfortunate
yeah.
that it's going to be, there's such a lag in the system and then people try and take advantage of that lag.
Absolutely. And in the Schedule B, it states that the brokerage is supposed to deposit the
Mm-hmm.
deposit into an interest bearing account.
Yeah.
So it's all in the contract.
I love reading some case law sometimes and seeing how these types of lawsuits end up
Oh my
and
God.
how much money these buyers or sellers think that they can just walk away from a deal.
I
Yeah.
don't think people really understand legal, like the RICO law. Like when I did my
Yeah.
broker's license, I actually was frightened
Mhm.
by some of the case law that I read because I couldn't believe some of the things that people should be paying attention to that they're not. Like we are liable for a lot.
Mhm.
You
Yes.
know, and
Oh,
we need to really be like we need to really be on top, and we're like lawyers.
And we can't say
We are
didn't
like
know.
lawyers.
And the other crazy part is that we can't say we didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't
It's-
know that? You should have found out.
It's funny
Yeah.
because I'm working in Costa Rica as well, and there it's completely different. The lawyers do everything there. Here we do everything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like we write up the contracts. Of course, the lawyers search title and they
Yeah.
help us, and they're such a big part of our process. But we do all that stuff before it even gets to the lawyers, right? It's not
Mhm.
like that in other countries.
We give it to them in a nice little package.
yeah,
usually.
exactly. And they just have to
Commercial's
check it
probably
off.
more like Costa Rica.
Yeah,
Like
I would think
commercial
so.
deals. I think it's a bit more of the wild, wild west. Like it's just does not run the same
Mhm.
way at all. Like you don't have your standard clauses. You don't
No.
have most of the time it's custom.
Yeah.
So you really do need to have a good lawyer
Uh-huh.
involved in pretty much every commercial deal you do
yeah.
and leases.
Oh, yeah.
But as a realtor, you do have to have knowledge of law. Like you have to understand how to write clauses. You have to understand how to read them. Some realtors don't even know how to read the clauses. Like they don't even know how to make sense of them.
Mhm.
I mean, we've worked with some of these realtors that it's like, how
Mm-hmm.
are people trusting you with this stuff? Because it's scary.
It is very scary, and I think people need to understand when they're hiring a realtor, like do your research.
I had another situation recently. I don't think I told you this actually. So I had buyers who we were looking for a while, and it was during that like very busy market, and we were in multiple offers twice a week. And then we found this one house that they really liked. We went in. The offer night was the next night, so the whole back date was the next night. So we went, we looked at it. I messaged the agent. I said, this, asked some questions. I said, my clients are interested. Okay, great.
But you looked at it.
Oh,
So-
we went
so-
in.
So it was registered that you looked at it.
Oh, yeah. We made an appointment. We went in. We looked at the listing. The next day, during the day, my buyer was excited. So they happened to drive by the house and they saw a sold sign on the property. I was like, there's no way. There has to be a mistake. I called the agent right away. I'm like, what happened? Like, why is there a sold sign on your property? He says, oh, we sold it last night at like 10 o'clock. I couldn't let you know. I said, wait a minute. What do you mean you couldn't let me know? You knew we were interested. You knew I had buyers and you sold it the night before offer night.
And did he double end it?
And that was my next question because obviously he did.
Yeah.
He double ended it. So
Yeah.
that means that he sold it to his own buyer. So that is so unethical. Like
Yeah, he did
on
a
every level. It
what a
was
disservice.
just, oh my gosh. But my clients were willing to pay so much more than what he sold it for. So it was a disservice to his clients, to my clients, to everybody involved,
Did
right?
you report him?
Oh, so my clients reported him.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. This is what I really loved is that they actually fought it because they were treated really unfairly. But a lot of times people are so stressed out during the process, they just let it go.
Yeah.
And these people get away with it.
Yeah.
So now it's been like probably a year later, he got charged.
Good.
He got fined. Yeah.
Good.
Amazing.
My client just sent
I
me
can't
the
wait to get off camera and ask you who it is.
Yeah, my client just sent me the what is it? The
state-
findings
yeah.
or the
Yeah.
statement or whatever, and he got fined.
But
I
10
went to
grand.
Rico Corp for that.
10
too.
grand.
I
But
went to
that's
Rico
good.
Corp.
Yeah.
That's good because that shows that there are repercussions for agents who aren't doing their job.
Yeah, like your
and they make
clients
us
are
look bad.
trusting you.
Yeah.
And you just did something really underhanded. Like
Yeah.
that's not okay.
It's not worth it.
It's not.
agents. It's
Oh,
not
and this
worth
guy
it.
told me, this guy, so when I said to him, I said, "Are you new?" I
Mhm.
did. I was a bit of a jerk. But I was
You?
like, yeah, I know,
No.
shocker. I was like, "Are you new? Like, how do you not see how unethical and how wrong this is?" He's like, "No, I'm a broker." He's
Oh,
like,
that's
I'm
even
a broker. I
worse.
said, exactly. That's what I said. I said, well,
Of your own brokerage?
I said, yeah. I said, okay. I said, well, I guess when we report you, that's going to look even worse on you because you should know better. You should be teaching your agents better. So obviously you're not.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so wrong.
I had that once where the guy, like, there was such a long lag between the first call to the next call. And then all of a sudden, like, no one won. No one got the winning bid. And then the next day, he sold it for less than what the offers that we had submitted.
Oh.
Yeah. So we
Oh.
there's a few of us that took him to RICO court and he got fined as well.
Good.
He represented himself and he lost.
What a dummy.
Yeah.
Sorry. What a dummy.
Yeah. But now it sucks because you know the crazy part is that it's been so long that I still see sometimes when he lists properties
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
like sometimes
Yeah,
I
like
re-
he's still getting clients.
yeah,
I know.
he still gets clients and we work in the same neighborhood, so it's like in the beginning I would
You
get-
want to warn them, but you can't.
yeah, I can't warn them and I
You
also
can't.
get other people to book showings for me and then I go, I go in. But yeah, hey guys. So as you see, Mary Jo had to go deal with that deal that she's been telling us about. So she had to step out. But Marae and I are just going to continue the conversation because
Yeah, we'll just wrap it up.
we'll wrap it up and talk
Mhm.
about how if you're a seller and you are thinking about getting on the market, I haven't probably said this to anybody in about a year because it's just been such a weird time in real estate, but
Mhm.
it's time to get your house on the market because buyers are back.
Yeah, and
they
there's
are-
no inventory
there
right
is
now.
no inventory.
Yeah.
Price it well, stage it well, and I can guarantee you eventually, you know,
Mhm.
days on market are definitely still this up in the air depending on neighborhood, but
Mhm.
there are buyers out there that are looking for great properties that they want to live in.
Absolutely. And I know we vented a lot during this episode, but I also want to say that like I appreciate all those things that we go through because we learn from them and we always manage to make it work.
Mhm.
So if we can just remember that usually the outcome is exactly what it's supposed to be, like 99% of the time. It always works out. And if we could just manage our stress levels throughout and just understand that like we're just doing, as long as we're doing the best that we can, that's all we can do.
Mhm.
And, you know, talking to our clients, communicating, don't hide from your clients because that's going to make it worse and more stressful.
Mhm.
And these situations are what make the really amazing ones so much more amazing because you have both sides, right? Like it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be smooth, but that's what makes it exciting. And I think for me personally, I don't know about you, Christina, but I kind of like the excitement, you know? And if I didn't, I don't think I'd be doing this, right?
Oh, I always say that it's like a shot of dopamine or a
Yeah.
nice, a really great drug that won't ruin your health.
Exactly.
That
well,
it's like
as long as you're not running on dopamine, but it's also
Yeah,
a
like
challenge
it's
to
a
balance
challenge.
it.
Yeah, like it's like you're constantly problem solving,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that I guess for my ADD mind is great because nothing is the same.
Yes.
Every deal is different.
That's what makes it exciting.
The personalities are
Exactly.
different. Even when I was staging, I would love the different houses because every house was different and I could make it look different.
Absolutely.
And it just
we don't have the same day twice in
Never.
our profession. It's always something else. It's always like something new.
Mhm.
It's always different. And for me, that's amazing.
Mhm.
But the challenge for me, which I really enjoy, is learning how to manage all that while still maintaining my nervous system so that I'm not stressed out or, because we're not going to help our clients by us being stressed out. So being able to just really disconnect from it, disconnect your identity from what you're doing, because as long as we're doing our best, that's all we can do, right? And just having that like calm way about it really helps the situation. And I'm saying this to you, and it's not always the case. Sometimes I just can't manage it. You just like,
when I saw there was no floor, I was like, oh my God, there's no floor.
oh
my
yeah.
God.
You're like, okay, we need a floor to close. Yes.
Yes. And she's like, you seem stressed. I'm like, well, you don't really have a floor. And I don't know.
But what are you going to do? Are
Yeah.
you going to be the one in there installing the floor?
God, no.
So then stressing about it really, like, is it helping the situation? And it worked out.
No.
You had a floor,
Yeah, exactly.
right? So you just got to roll with it and just kind of try to maintain, go do yoga or some meditation or something, breath work.
Yeah, I just made sure that it was just like a
Call
fly
me
on
next time.
yeah, fly on poop. Like I would just all over it. And that's what you need
Yeah.
with a realtor, that you just want to know that they're going to be all
You
over
are
it.
on it. That was
Yeah.
the most important thing. And your client didn't have to deal with it because you were on it.
I didn't want her to deal with it. I didn't want her to
Exactly.
that's the last thing I would want someone to be experiencing when they're doing this new fresh start.
Exactly.
This like annoyingness. Like I'm here to help you. Like I got it covered.
Yeah.
And
But it's still important for us not to bear the brunt as well.
Mm.
You know, like manage. And I'm saying this to you because I know this is not a very normal thing for realtors to think about. It's like, how do we reduce the stress inside of us so that we're not like, it's admirable that you want to carry that, but
Mm-hmm.
and I'm speaking for myself as well, by the way. I haven't mastered that, but it's a challenge, and it's really interesting to be able to try to find a way to, you know, be able to
Yeah.
come to that place.
How it doesn't well, it doesn't it's not part of your identity that something like this, it's not a description or a what am,
Like, it doesn't mean anything about you.
yeah,
as a
like it's not like
person.
I haven't done what I needed to do. Just I
Exactly.
couldn't prevent this. And
Yeah.
sometimes, I'm having a therapy session. I have to remember that
Yeah,
because I do try to, take away that stress.
because you care,
Yeah.
and we carry the brunt of all those emotions, which can be really bad for us. So.
Yeah. I probably gave her a really false start on thinking how it is to be a landlord, though. Because I was like, I got it covered. And I was like, what are you going to do if you're a landlord? That's the
Yeah.
other thing. Sometimes
Yeah.
people don't really know what they're getting into, but I'm glad it's
You just
over.
have to educate them,
Mhm.
and you know what to do. So she's going to probably turn to you anyways.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Okay, guys.
Well, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for
That's
tuning
great.
in.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, tell your friends about us, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Mary Jo says bye. Yes.